Hello and welcome back to our Bible series. So we are back with a continuation of the story of the prodigal son. I said that wrong with too many R's. Prodigal. The prodigal son. And we are continuing. We're just going to do another 3 verses because 3 is enough for one day's session. Okay. So we're continuing. We ended with 14 last time, so I'm reading 15, 16 and 17. 2 verses, 15 and 16 actually. So so I'll just go back 1 verse so we remember where we ended. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered all his wealth in wild living, is where we ended last time. And we start today. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to the fields to feed. Guess what? I'm gonna hire you and you're going to feed pigs. Now this is someone we're talking about who came from a rich family. Remember we mentioned that? Anywho, the famine couldn't have come at a worse time. He spends everything he had and the famine begins. Talk about sick timing. I know, right? But nothing surprises God, and if we listen to him, we would know and we would be prepared for some of these things. So God is not surprised. It's not like he didn't know that a famine was coming, and at that exact time this guy would have squandered everything that he had. God knows all these things. But hey, remember the tap and the bucket? This bucket is no longer underneath the tap, so there's no information coming from God directly to this guy because he has removed himself from that position that he had. So you're not prepared. Had he not followed the greed that led him away, he would be safe in his father's house during the famine. Of course, we know that. But we usually, it sounds like we know it, but then we don't know it when we are living the lives that we are living that seem fun, and God is just blocking us from this fun life by giving us all these rules and regulations. So then he hires himself out. I'm wondering why he wasn't, why at this point, why this wasn't the point he remembers his father. Perhaps he assumes he can still do this on his own and fix it. So he's like, you know what, let's just get a job and make some money. I think I can sort this out myself. He's still in this state of rebellion. He's still in this state of, I got this. Who needs daddy for who? Daddy for who? Daddy for what? So he still feels like, I got this. Unfortunately, he is sent to tend pigs. Talk about things getting even worse. Eesh. I mean, clearly, this so-called life of freedom is not so glamorous after all, and he finally remembers his father. So he goes, I'm gonna get a job, and then with all his qualifications and everything, he just can't get a job. He just can't seem to get anything sensible going on for him. So you're used to this lavish life, you're in charge, so I'm sure if we're thinking of these days, these are times he went to all these friends he used to spend money on. Guy, listen, I need this, and everyone's like, nope. I mean, he was spending time with the rich because he had money. And he's like, guy, you're the CEO of blah, blah, blah. Can you hook me up with a job? Hey, man, you're the what of where, and who. Can you hook me up with this, that? And they're like, no, man, you're not of our class. You're not at our level. But guy, we were like buddies. We're not now. So he tries and tries. And okay, so I should read the next one because I wrote notes about it, which is 16. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare? And here I am starving to death when there's so much food in my father's house. So he comes to his senses. His eyes are open. He's like, you know what? My friends are not going to help me. No one's going to help me here. This shows all this time he was being very foolish and senseless. Obviously, the opposite of sense, coming to senses, is being senseless. So he was being senseless all this time. We do this often, and God lets us experience our childishness before he intervenes. So sometimes, I mean, someone comes and tells you, we all know this, we've heard this before, don't do this, don't do that, this is bad for you, this is what. We're like, nah, guy. Look at this life. Look at the people living that life. Look at the people doing those things. They're enjoying themselves. They are having a time of their life. Nah, man, I'm gonna do it. And then God's like, okay, fine. I'll give you your inheritance. You go. And we go and we experience it. And if we're lucky enough, we get to live to get the chance to be saved from it.